Round out the top 10. Let's toss it back to First Take.
Get all that, everybody? Marinate on those. The first rankings are in. Paul Feinbaum is here, the mouth of the South. Did they get it right?
They did, but it's not hard the first week. It doesn't mean a whole lot because the Alabama-LSU game, you have Kentucky, Georgia, you have Michigan. So it really, if you move Alabama aside, the big debate I think they had was whether LSU should be number 2 because of LSU's resume. I think they wisely put LSU 3, thinking they'll probably lose this weekend anyway. They'll push them aside.
Here's my question. Ohio State, 10th. Is that more about getting waxed by Purdue or more about them not wanting Urban Meyer near the top 4 at this moment? What do you think?
It's a good question. I think it's more about the loss is still in their memory. Ohio State was off last weekend, so they had nothing to do to rectify that. But Ohio State will be able to get back in. If Ohio State wins out, including a win over a top-ranked Michigan team and a Big Ten championship, they're back where they were.
Shocked at all that Georgia wasn't in the mix, considering that they just beat Florida the way that they did. I know they had an earlier loss, and obviously it cost them, but considering how much noise was made about them going up against Florida and the way they beat Florida.
Yeah, it was a great win. I think, Stephen A., the bad loss to LSU kept them where they were, and I think the committee looked at that, measured it against Michigan losing to Notre Dame, and they just moved them up. But I'm not a historian here of the College Football Playoff Committee because it's really not that interesting, but they've had some pretty weird selections on the first day.
Let me go back to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh for this reason. As I reminded you before, you were on Jim Harbaugh right now. I mean, does this season really come down? If he beats Ohio State, he's in as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
What does this say to all of us about Jim Harbaugh if he pulls this off?
It says to me and a couple of other people that we were premature to start writing him off after that Notre Dame game. He's had 2 good seasons. Last year was just a mess the way it ended. And I think you often remember that. He's been a good coach. He just didn't have a good quarterback, and Shea Patterson transferred from Ole Miss and has really helped. But they've always had a suffocating defense up there, Stephen A.
You want to go?
Go ahead, Mon.
All right, I was going to ask about LSU. Obviously, you mentioned the game, Alabama-LSU. We know you think Alabama's going to win. But they won't have Devin White for that first half of the game. What do you think? Is that where you were going to?
No, go ahead.
What do you think of that whole rule?
He's their most valuable player on defense, and it's a controversial decision. It went up to the booth, and then it went to the collaborative replay center in Alabama, and they confirmed it. And LSU fans believe in conspiracy theories. They've been all over the place. I don't like seeing it. I don't think there was much intent on this play. He stood over the player a little bit, which probably got him the targeting foul. But it could be the difference in a close game at halftime and a runaway because Alabama, which usually is conservative, Saban being at LSU in the past, he's not going to be conservative, not without their star linebacker.
Not unthinkable that call ruins the college football season. Like, you take the second best player off the field, as Tim Tebow mentioned, and for a half, but like LSU, everything would have to go right for them anyway to get the win, and now they probably don't have a shot.
Well, wait a minute. Let me interject, Paul. What if we got a close game at halftime? I don't want to hear that excuse. What you're asking for a team, a program competing for a national championship is that for one half, we need you to be competitive without your guy. For one half. I don't think even against Alabama. That's right.
Who, by the way, the 5th best team in the country is?
Alabama.
The 4th best team in the country?
Maybe Tua shouldn't play in the first half, just to make it fair. I don't think it really will matter very much. I think Alabama is that much better, and I don't think LSU has an offense that's capable of scoring enough.
What does LSU, outside of winning, let's say, for example, this is a game that comes down to the wire, based on the college football committee, is that something that will fail to be counted against LSU if they are highly competitive in this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a scenario that a narrow loss by LSU could keep them alive. Remember last year, Auburn had 2 losses and then went and beat Georgia and Alabama at home, and had it won the SEC championship, would have been a 2-loss in the college football playoff. But I don't think LSU is in as good a position because they're just a lot more clutter in that top 6 or 7.
Look at Oklahoma, who loses by a field goal in the Red River rivalry, and the only other ranked opponent they have is, what, West Virginia at the end of the season? If they win out, one-loss team, by a field goal in a rivalry game, what kind of case do they have, Paul?
I think their problem is what happened to Texas Saturday. By Texas losing, it took some of the pizzazz out of that league. I'm not going to say that they're done yet, because there's just too many other scenarios, but I would not put them ahead of the Big Ten or of Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the interesting one. Notre Dame is in if they win out, but what if Notre Dame loses and Michigan wins? Michigan, having lost to Notre Dame, very likely would trump Notre Dame because of its victories.
Isn't this part of the business? Like everyone wants to homogenize college football and expand the playoffs. Yeah. Isn't this like most of the fun, or at least half the fun?
Some of it. Yeah.
It is. It's most of it. But if you added another 2, if you added 4 more, the Alabama-LSU game would be meaningless. Alabama could lose that game and it wouldn't miss anything.
Speaking of good times, usually these two, myself included, we get the angry tweets.
Yeah.
But so Urban Meyer was asked if he'll coach again next year. He said definitely yes. He was definitive about it that he's going to. And his wife Shelley had a little message for you saying, newsflash, or maybe not, he gets none of my attention, should get no one else's either. I don't listen or watch him or his network anymore.
Yeah, you know what was interesting? The reason why you couldn't put that tweet up is that after Urban was asked about it Monday, Shelley Meyer deleted the tweet. Deleting seems to run in the Meyer family. Remember, Urban Meyer deleted text, now Shelley Meyer. I don't believe in deleting a tweet. You say something, everybody already knows it. It's been disseminated across the country. I don't know what to say to her. I know her fairly well. She's a nice woman. I think she has bigger problems right now dealing with whatever Urban is going through than slapping back at me.
I have something I'd like to say.
Okay.
If you don't mind. With all due respect to the lovely Mrs. Meyer, no disrespect to her at all, but when your husband left his coaching job, where did he come and work? To the very network that you said you no longer want to watch. You didn't have a problem with ESPN then. So why do you have a problem with ESPN now? Because something happened at The Ohio State that every network under the sun discussed. And somehow we're the problem?
I also think it's important.
I respectfully disagree.
Not that you can't defend yourself, obviously, or you feel you need defending. I think it is important to distinguish between those in the media who troll and those who give you their honest opinion. And someone giving you their honest opinion, even if it hurts to hear or even if it's unpopular or counterintuitive, which in this case it wasn't, that's not necessarily trolling. Those are 2 different things. And to frame it as trolling is wrong.
Yeah, her objection to what I said here the other day was that I was predicting, based on information that I had heard, whispers that Urban would be gone at the end of the season. And in some ways, the fact that he addressed it Monday, and then Tuesday, not only did he talk about it Monday at his press conference, Tuesday he gave interviews to several of the local writers, and on top of that, Molly, his physician issued a statement, which is extraordinary, and I'm not trying to psychoanalyze or diagnose Urban Meyer from what I saw, but I was troubled by his appearance, the way he looked down, the way he very nonchalantly answered those questions. I think he is having some issues. He said, and that's a concern.
And I'm no college football expert, and I got interviewed by a couple of stations in Cleveland, and one of the first questions they asked me about was Urban Meyer's future. So they're asking these questions about him in Ohio.
Yeah, and to be clear, he said that he'll probably will be back. And honestly, I'm not surprised as his wife said she wouldn't watch the network because she probably doesn't want to be reminded of her husband's mistakes because he mishandled a domestic violence situation. That is my opinion, not anyone else's. Paul, appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
The Rams, they remain unbeaten, the only team in the NFL.